everybody, welcome back to my channel. Today's a big one. Be sat and be prepared. Do you know what I mean? I've in fact had to sit down. My last video, I was stood up for 3 hours waffling about this show, and I was like, look, I don't have the facilities for it again. Do you know what I mean? So I'm sat.
Sit back down.
I'm sat.
This is part 2 of the Parents of Pretty Little Liars. I said in the original video that I would be splitting the families because I think for my mental well-being, because at the end of the day I am just a girl, that I would do the Hastings and dilaurentis in a separate video. When I tell you, when I was like proper researching this to get my notes and my script ready for this, the brain cells that I lost, I'm never getting back. I've done the family tree. I've had to combine it. So this family tree, it's not going to be separate like the other ones were. This is one family tree that includes the Hastings and the dilaurentis. And trust me, guys, I've got to say, I've tried to put stuff in chronological order whilst also telling one side at a time. So the story is going to go back and forth, okay? And there might be times where I'm putting things that happen later at the beginning because it just needs to be, okay? But we're going to get there. We're going to do it together, okay? This is not the full family tree, okay? This is the easiest that the tree is ever going to be. We have Spencer over here and we have Peter over here. If you're wondering, where's Veronica? Don't worry, we get into it. This colored line means that they are like family, okay? Like related. Do you know what I mean?
But then, like, it's gonna be like, listen to me. Listen, stay.
Now, there's going to be a lot of colors in this because I had to use the entire history of color coordination in this family tree. I will have, don't worry, we're going to have to explain as we go along. Do you know what I mean? So let's just get on with it because we are going to be waffling for hours. I just need to, you might lose plenty of brain cells in this and things won't make sense because they don't. I'm just a girl. I've put this together and we're going to have to go through this together. So I hope you're sat. I'm going to say straight off the bat, I despise Peter Hastings. And I think if you go back to him and another character that we're going to talk about in a minute, not in a minute, a bit later on actually, I lied. I'm a liar. A lot of things in the show happen because of his mistakes and ultimately what he did. Yeah, Peter Hastings, not a vibe. We don't vibe with him. To be honest, most of the men on the show we don't vibe with. Do you know what I mean? Anyway, we see them in the pilot, but like not really. So we're going to skip past the pilot episode because we don't really see them. The next time we see them is in the Jenna thing. And I'm going to say straight off the bat, Peter Hastings is a very overbearing parent and he's very keen on image and reputation. So he wants every person in his family to be perfect grades, just everything perfect about them. Can't be any bad press about the family. Does he know what's coming? Are you ready for it? Yeah, we see him in the Jenna thing. And Spencer is talking about wanting to take some educational classes for fun, not necessarily for educational achievement. Go on, girl, have some fun. Do you know what I mean? Peter Hastings is very like, what? What do you mean by that? And he's like, why would you take classes for fun? Why would you not take them for educational achievement? This man is already pissing me off. We're like 2 episodes in. Don't annoy me. Then we have a new character alert, everybody. 2 new characters, actually. I was wrong. So we have Veronica Hastings. No. So we have Melissa Hastings, Veronica Hastings. So Veronica is the mum of these 2. Is she? Is she though? Is she? Spoiler! And Peter and Veronica are husband and wife. So this is this for now. So these two are sisters, full sisters. But are they? So Veronica is first mentioned when Melissa talks to Spencer and says that we'll see another character in a second, are moving into the barn. And Spencer is flabbergasted because she spent the entire summer renovating the barn and her parents had promised her that she would get to live in the barn. Now, one thing about Peter and Veronica, they 1,000,000% have favorites, okay? Veronica is the favorite child, and a lot of the time Spencer gets pushed back because of their favoritism towards Melissa, and that's a huge problem with their parenting on the show. Get very pushed to the back because there is favoritism going on, and that ultimately creates divide between Spencer and Melissa, and everything with them kind of becomes a competition because it's like whoever can impress the parents the most and get the parents on their side type of thing. Okay, guys, we've got a new character alert, everybody. There he is. This is Ren, okay? And Ren at the start of the show is Melissa's boyfriend. He's British, like myself, unfortunately. So yeah, at the start of the show, he is Melissa's boyfriend, and they are the ones that are moving into the barn. However, Melissa actually catches Ren and Spencer kissing. Yeah, right. So this blue line between here and here is a relationship. So Ren ends up having a relationship with, he doesn't really have a relationship with Spencer, really. In the episode To Kill a Mockingbird, Veronica obviously really comforts Melissa over the affair. They really kind of victim shame Spencer. And look, I get it. Like, Spencer has had an affair with Ren, okay, Melissa's boyfriend. So I get why they would be very, very angry. But Spencer has fell victim to manipulation from an older man. So I think there's a lot more to deep dive when it comes to that. Because it's kind of like with the Montgomerys, it's manipulation that's kind of going under the radar. And the parents aren't really talking to Spencer about it and just rather taking sides straight away. But I also get the comforting of Melissa and why you would want to be there more for her. I get it, but also I think Spencer gets a bit of neglect when it comes to that situation because there's obviously so much more to that situation. But yeah, because Melissa and Spencer actually get into a big argument in this episode and the parents take Melissa's side. I get it. There's just been this whole situation, but as a parent, I don't think you should be taking sides that quickly without actually hearing Spencer out on her side. So in reality bites me, Spencer actually wins like an essay competition, but this essay she actually stole from Melissa. But during this episode, Peter asked Spencer to host a tennis doubles match with him for a client, and he gives Spencer a box of chocolates for the essay thing. Now, why I'm bringing this up is because it just adds to the whole thing of Peter awarding his kids for being perfect. And that's absolutely not a bad thing. If you win a competition and your parents give you something, that is absolutely not a bad thing. But there's a continuous thing within Peter Hastings where he wants his family to be perfect. And I think with like, for example, with Hannah and Ashley would allow Hannah to make mistakes, but not necessarily punish her for it, but see it as like a life lesson. But with Peter, there is absolutely no room for mistakes or anything like that. So he will only reward his kids for good things rather than teaching life lessons about what they should have done type of thing. But obviously, reward your kids for good things. Obviously, I'm not saying you can't, but there's that continuous pressure that's built into Spencer and Melissa that if they are always perfect, they will get rewards for it. But the thing is, nobody is perfect and nobody can be perfect all the time. So therefore, whenever Spencer and Melissa will make a mistake, they will obviously take it a lot more worse because they will have it built into their mind they have to be perfect. Not to get serious, okay? But this is serious. Because he kind of seems to not forget, but like brush aside the Ren situation just because Spencer has now achieved something good. And he actually asked Spencer for this tennis double match to throw the competition to make the client win and therefore have a better relationship with Peter. So he wants to use his child to lie, to cheat, to get something that he wants. So Peter Hastings, much like Byron and Tom, menace. Pure menace to society. Do you know what I mean? Peter Hastings, I don't really remember him doing anything good during the show. At the end of the day, if Peter Hastings has 0 haters, I'm dead. Call the police. There's so much more to come. We're not even in it yet. This is just surface level, blow the dust off. Do you know what I mean? What I said previously about Peter building in this mentality in his family that they have to be perfect is shown even more in the episode titled The Perfect Storm. And this is where my heart breaks for Veronica, because she says in this episode that she had a lump removed from her breast, but she didn't tell anyone because there's this continuous theme in their family. They have to be perfect and they can't have any flaws. So she didn't tell anyone because she didn't want to be the one to have flaws like this. Oh my god, Peter Hastings being 6 feet down would not even express my hatred. This man has damaged so many people in his family. It's crazy. I love in this episode, Veronica has a bit of a girl boss moment. I vibe with Veronica a lot. She's a bit of a girl boss at the end of the day. Parent wise, she's not the best at parenting her kids, but she's a girl boss, so it doesn't matter. At the end of the day, she's just a girl, you know, just a girl. One thing to know about Veronica, she is like the lawyer in the town, and when I say she represents everybody, girl, she is booked and busy. I feel like if anyone has legal troubles in this show, Veronica, my love, pick up the phone. She represents literally everybody because like she is just like the lawyer. But she's a bit of a girl boss and like she stands up for herself and like I love it. And like she stands up for the girls as well, because in The Perfect Storm there's an example where Wilden is kind of interrogating the girls in a classroom. Wilden the freak is back. The jobless leading the jobless. Do you know what I mean? Yeah, Wilden is like interrogating the girls in like a classroom, literally without any adults. And Veronica comes in and she's like, am I gonna get you fired or what? Do you know what I mean? I just love it. Anyone who puts Wilden in his place, I'm there. I'm sat. I'm your biggest fan. If Wilden has 0 haters, I'm dead. Wilden, the floppiest flop of the floppiest flops on the show. So whenever anyone puts him in his place, I'm there. I'm sat. I'm present. I will be front row. I will be barrier. I will be on Ticketmaster that morning getting tickets pre-sale. You know? Yeah, Veronica's a girl boss and she comes in, she defends the girls. I think she actually forces him to step down from the Allison investigation at one point because she's a girl boss like that. She's just a girl. Okay, we have another character, everybody. That's not who I thought of. I need to introduce Toby into this situation because this is the time where Spencer and Toby are kind of seeing each other and Peter and Veronica are like, stay away from him. Okay, sorry guys. I had to change the camera angle because this man was not fitting into shot. Anyway, we're back. So we have a new character on the screen. This is Ian, okay? Ian is... Menace does not describe the words. Ian is a ridiculous character. what the hell? When I say ban men, this is the first on the list. First one on the list. So in the episode titled Salt Meets Wound, Melissa and Ian are engaged. And Spencer and Veronica are talking about the engagement because it was very rushed. So Spencer was like, are you not upset? But Veronica was like, look, you've made your sister really unhappy in the past few weeks. So as long as she's happy, it doesn't matter. Now, why does it matter? Because Spencer and Ian were having like an affair type of thing, or like a relationship as well. Bearing in mind, Spencer was underage. Yeah, another one. We've got another one. Ren was one. Then we've got Ian, Ezra. The list goes on. Do you know what I mean? Veronica's like, look, just let her be happy. But I think deep down, Veronica's a bit like, what on earth is going on? You know, Ian is quite respected by the parents, and there's something that happens a bit later on where they decide to take Ian's side on something rather than Spencer's. In the title, The Person of Interest, the girls find a trophy with blood on it from Ian and decide to hand it in to the police, but they find out that it was just like a prank type of thing. So when Spencer gets back home, the parents are like, what on earth is going on in the House of Commons? Come on now, what's going on? Spencer is trying to tell her parents Ian is dangerous because at this point I think they discovered that Ian had an affair with a relationship with Alison, and they suspected him of her murder. Who don't they suspect on the show? Everyone was literally a suspect. Literally everybody. Everyone had their turn. I think the funniest was when Andrew was a suspect. What on earth has Andrew got to do with the show? They label Spencer as quite psychotic, and Veronica is a lot more patronizing and doubtful than what Peter is. But they really kind of dull down her voice here because they think that Spencer is just trying to ruin another relationship of Melissa's. And like, I get what they mean because of the history, but if your daughter is voicing serious concerns and like you just totally brush them off, hello? I think this is the height in the show where they really disbelieve Spencer and just don't really trust her, and just like blatantly ignore her. Like the favoritism in like the first 2 seasons of the show is like so crazy. Like if I was Spencer, I would be mad as well. Like, what's going on? So in the episode titled Monsters in the End, this is when the Toby relationship starts kind of picking off. Veronica and Peter are like, stay away from Toby, like, because this is when like everyone thinks Toby killed Alison. There's loads of rumors going around about him, but they actually force Spencer to attend like a festival thing to try and get her reputation back up. Reputation. See, when I say this family is so obsessed with reputation, not the album, not the great album, but not the album, you know, the actual reputation. It's crazy. Like, so no matter, like, I can see why Melissa and Spencer turned out the way they did. Like, there's no shock. Like, when you look at the parents and especially Peter, it's like, girl, I've built families on The Sims, okay, that I've looked after more than they have. I've raised millions of households on The Sims. Yeah, I know how to do it. So why don't they? However, at the end of this episode, Spencer ends up like having like a makeout session with Toby, and like the parents are like so disgusted. They're like, The big episode is For Whom the Bell Tolls. Now, in this episode, they start the morning having breakfast, and Melissa's like, yeah, I'm going to the church, because Melissa at this point is pregnant with Ian's baby and they're getting married. So Veronica's like, yeah, I'm gonna go to the church and sort out things with the wedding and the baby. So Spencer takes her, but they end up getting into a car accident. So they're at the hospital, and obviously the parents once again are obviously really blaming Spencer for the situation, and Spencer's feeling so much guilt at this point because it purely was literally just an accident. So this again, like literally like victim blaming Spencer again when Spencer is also going through like all this traumatic stuff too. Don't annoy me. Veronica, you are a girl boss, but I will revoke that title, okay? You're thin ice. You're on thin ice. Melissa, like, left her phone in the church. So Spencer goes to the church to get her phone, but then she finds Ian there, and they end up having, like, a chase, and Ian is after Spencer, and you know, the whole bell tower thing happened where A, who actually turned out to be Allison, not A, pushed Ian off the bell tower and Ian died. But I don't think he actually died. We never really get an answer. We are led to believe that he did not actually die and that A took him and then A killed him and then staged it as something else. But we never really get an answer on that. So then the girls, and obviously including Spencer, tried to tell her parents, this is what happened. Like, you need to believe me, this is the situation that happened, because there's no body, right? So everyone's like, well, we're not going to believe you because he's not there. Like, he's not dead. So her parents don't really believe her side of the story, and they massively take Melissa's side. They're very good at comforting Melissa. I'll give them that. I think they are very good parents to Melissa, because they really comfort her when she needs it. So comforting Melissa during this time is like fine, and like I get it. But Spencer is openly trying to tell them the truth, and they just aren't listening to her and are not taking her side in any of it. And like her friends are backing her up as well. But because Ian's body was not found, they don't believe Spencer. I don't know. I get like maybe like, you know, obviously because there's no body, like maybe it is hard to believe her, but like, girl, like just at least try and like listen, you know. Season 2, in the episode title, It's Alive, Peter Hastings is the one who pushes therapy onto the girls and pushes the idea of them not spending time with each other and separating the girls. Now, therapy I actually think was a good idea. Obviously, forcing someone into therapy is not ethical in any way, but I do think the girls did need therapy. So not to, you know, sound pro men and pro Peter on the timeline, but maybe it was okay. However, splitting the girls up is another situation that I don't think should have happened. However, my idea on therapy changes because there's a scene later on, which I spoke about in the previous video, where Ashley and Ella and Veronica are kind of slating Peter's idea for therapy and says that he wanted to institutionally fix it rather than actually being a parent to fix it, and like have that emotional conversation with his kids. And I kind of agree with that as well. So I don't know, I agree with multiple parts of that whole situation in different ways. So then Toby comes knocking for Spencer, obviously coming to like see her and make sure she's okay, but Peter turns away Toby because he doesn't want Spencer's reputation to be worse than what it is. Girl, get over yourself, because especially like later on in the show, Peter's reputation is like the worst it could ever be, and I'm just like, how are you trying to like force this onto your family when you are literally just as worse? I don't get it at all. Yeah, he turns Toby away. And I just think like Toby is Spencer's only kind of support system. So to literally take that off her as well is crazy. There, at no point is any of these parents sitting down with their children and actually having a full-on emotional conversation with them to talk about really actually what happened and how they're feeling about it. Peter even goes to the point where he disbelieves Spencer so much he offers Garrett money to find Ian. This was really distasteful from Veronica. So I'm actually going to have to take her girl boss title away for this moment in time, because Veronica distrusts Spencer's version of events so much, and she says that she's obsessed with blaming Allison's murder on Ian, and that, you know, Spencer will not rest until Ian gets sent away for the murder. Now, like, come on now, Veronica. Come on now, my love. Veronica absolutely had a hit album during the time where she, like, totally, like, intimidated Wilden. And now she's a one-hit wonder at this stage. Veronica, your girl boss card has been revoked. I don't know. I think that's very distasteful. If my best friend had died and there was evidence pointing to someone being the murderer at this stage, and I voiced just literal concerns about the situation and about him, and, you know, telling my parents that I'm worried about it, and then my parent turns around and is like, you're obsessed with finding the murderer. Yeah, no way. Like, what do you mean? Explain it, elaborate, analyze. Ian is then found dead. Surprise, surprise. Surprise, surprise. Spencer actually encourages her parents to like do a memorial for him, and like Veronica and Peter are very like what's the word I'm looking for, guys? They're very touched by Spencer's idea, especially because Spencer obviously was very anti-Ian. She's just like me. At the end of the day, we're just girls. And later on, I'm going to give Veronica her girl boss title back. She's got it back. Later on, Veronica apologizes to Spencer for not trusting her, and that she wants to repair her relationship with her daughter. So she ends up inviting her and the liars to Ian's funeral as like kind of like a means for amends type of thing. Sorry, my windows are open and my neighbors are probably watching me. They're like, what on earth is she doing? New character alerts. I'm gonna have to get out of the way for a moment. I'm in the way of this character. Hold on. Okay, this is, oh my god, guys, look at my Barbie pajamas. Do you like them? I'm just a girl. Is Jessica DiLaurentis. Okay, I'm gonna sit down now and I'm gonna block her photo, but we're just gonna go with it because I have nowhere else to sit. Jessica DiLaurentis. Right, so this is where the situation gets more complicated. Okay, so Spencer sees Peter and Jessica arguing quite a lot, so she's a bit like, what is going on? What's going on? Whenever Spencer kind of confronts Peter about it, he kind of brushes her off and he's like, just leave it and just stay away from the DiLaurentises. The message to stay away from the DiLaurentises is encouraged quite a lot by Veronica and Peter, because we'll get onto it. We'll come back to it, don't worry. And Peter also tells Spencer to stay away from Jason DiLaurentis. Why? We'll find out after the break. No, there's no break, actually. There's no break. So the next episode's surface tension is when Toby gets hired by Peter to kind of clear up his backyard. And Toby finds a broken hockey stick, which they think is the weapon that was used to kill Allison. So Toby finds it and he tells Peter about it, and Peter is like, don't tell anyone about this. But Toby tells Spencer because they want to be honest with each other. Absolutely, congratulations, Toby, for being honest. Peter ends up burning the stick, and Spencer's like, why did you burn it? Like, there's this whole argument because she just wants them to be honest, like, did she kill Allison or not, type of thing, and she just wants them to be honest about the situation. But even Veronica is like, yeah, that stick needs to be burned. But they won't tell her why. But Spencer at this stage thinks she might have killed Allison, but can't remember killing Allison. Literally, Spencer just wants answers about her own situation. Like, did she kill Allison or not, type of thing, because she can't remember. But her parents just like aren't telling her anything. Once again, like, this is like the worst parenting I've seen, because if I was worried that I had blacked out and I had done something and I want my parents to tell me, but they're hiding it from me, and it could be literally the murder of my best friend, I'd be like, why are you not telling me this? Like, so even more tension happens in the episode titled I Must Confess, because Peter snaps at Spencer and Toby ends up standing up for her and kind of arguing back. So Peter kind of like forbids Toby and Spencer from seeing each other. Oh, I didn't even realize Jason was added to this slide. Okay, Jason's there. Okay, so I didn't realize Jason was here. My bad. So I've put an orange line between Jason and Peter Hastings because at this point they know each other. How they know each other, we'll find out. And then Jessica down here, you can't see her because I'm blocking her. Jessica is Jason's mum. And there's an orange line between Toby and Peter because they like just know each other. Spencer ends up kind of running away, but she comes back and she wants answers from her dad. So Peter ends up telling her that the dilaurentis forced him to change Allison's grandma's will, because originally the will left everything to Allison and not Jason. Jason and Allison, obviously brother and sister. Jessica DeLaurentis asked Peter to change the will so that it didn't make Jason look like a suspect and that he had killed Allison just for the will. Basically, he said that the DeLaurentis are blackmailing him with that because he could lose his job. So in the episode titled Over My Dead Body, the girls end up getting arrested and Jason turns up to the station. Him and Peter have a bit of an argument and Peter's like, go, get out of here. So obviously he's hiding something about Jason. And Jason says, don't you think my sister would want me to be here? Now, this is a bit of an iconic line. We find out, okay, in the next episode that Jason is Peter's son. Yeah. Mm-hmm. So the lines have changed now, okay? So the line that Jason said about, don't you think my sister would want me to be here? I think we all assume that's Allison that he's talking about, but I think he was actually talking about Spencer. So let me just show you these lines, okay? Jason is the son of Peter, but Veronica is not his mom. Peter was having an affair with Jessica, okay? And that is how they conceived Jason. So Jason is now the half brother of Spencer and Melissa. Okay. Are we keeping up? Garrett then gets arrested for Allison's murder. And Spencer keeps visiting him in prison to get answers, right? And Veronica finds out and Veronica is like, stay away from him. However, Veronica ends up being Garrett's lawyer. Now, when I said she represents everyone on the show, she's getting the money. She's booked. She's busy. She's scheduled. She is doing a world tour of defending everybody in Rosewood. She is booked, you know. And Veronica ends up saying that everyone deserves a good defense lawyer. Veronica, let's have a chat. I know that Garrett didn't obviously end up killing Allison. Okay. But if you are defending the person who is up for her murder, who murdered your daughter's best friend, why are you defending? Everyone deserves lawyers, absolutely. Not killers, Veronica. However, Veronica later reveals that she's protecting Garrett because Garrett could potentially be Melissa's baby's father. Okay, that's another twist in the situation. However, Spencer finds Melissa's medical records and Melissa unfortunately has a miscarriage. Melissa actually lied about when she had the miscarriage. So Spencer finds medical records that explain this. I love Spencer, but going through someone's medical records is a bit not it. I can't think of this. I don't know. I don't think it was a slay, especially because Melissa had gone through a lot at this stage. And I think Melissa's trauma actually doesn't get spoken about as much as it should. But, you know, Melissa had just lost her baby. So I think going through someone's medical records is a bit not of a slay. However, she did it because I think at this point they think that Ian is still alive or something like that. And she's protecting Ian. But yeah, not a slay from Spencer there, I'm afraid, everybody. So in the titled Birds of a Feather, we see Jason and kind of yelling at Veronica for defending Garrett. Not gonna lie, he was in the right. I hate to sound, you know, pro men, but he was right. I don't know, I would be annoyed as well. I think he has the right to be annoyed and angry about it, especially like this is like technically his like stepmom, So, I don't know. I think he has the right to be a bit angry there. Because Jason thinks that she has an agenda against him specifically, not to do with criminal defense. And he thinks that she wants to get Garrett off to kind of say like, haha, Jason. Haha. Then, however, Veronica's defense gets a bit stronger in regards to Garrett. And this is actually to protect her daughter. So Veronica tells Spencer that Garrett knew Melissa was kind of faking her pregnancy a bit after she had lost the baby, and that Garrett had hired a private investigator to kind of find this out. So when Veronica found out, she decided to step in and take control of Garrett's legal stuff to kind of be in more control of what's being found out about her family. So therefore, this makes so much more sense, obviously, because she's doing this to protect her daughter. And whether you like Melissa or not, I think this is good parenting from Veronica, because she purely is just trying to protect Melissa. I really like there's in the next episode titled Misery Loves Company, Veronica gives Spencer like this recipe she cooked Peter on their anniversary, because it is Spencer and Toby's anniversary. So they have a nice little moment, and Veronica helps Spencer plan like this anniversary with Toby. So that's a really nice moment, and I think one of the first times that we see them really kind of have that mother-daughter relationship that Spencer would have wanted. However, Spencer ends up going to Radley after the whole kind of Toby dead situation, and Veronica tries to get her out of Radley, but Spencer doesn't really want to, and she doesn't share anything to do with what happened with Toby. So in the episode titled Gamma Zeta Die, Melissa starts a internship in London. Veronica gives Spencer like a booklet of colleges, because Spencer didn't end up getting into her colleges because of the whole Radley situation. So she was like, look, you can still, have a try at these things if you want to, and there will be a college out there that will accept you. Veronica then tells Spencer that she hired like a college counselor to try and get Spencer's reputation back up after the Radley situation. And like, I get that, like, she wants Spencer's life to continue as normal, but not everything has to do with reputation and image. And if my daughter was just in a mental institution and had gone through so much, I don't think college would be the first thing on my mind to propose to her. But each to their own. I thought I'd mention here that Veronica starts representing Ashley. When I said booked and busy, I'm not lying. She is booked and she is busy. In the episode titled This Mirror Has Three Faces, Veronica gets her girl boss reputation back, everybody. Although she kind of ends my best friend Mona's career. Slander behaviour towards my best friend Mona. But it's contradicting, because Veronica's being a girl boss and a good parent, but that's my best friend Mona. But anyway, Mona's in Radley. Veronica goes there and she kind of threatens Mona. She's like, look, if anything happens to Spencer or the rest of the girls, then she would know it. She would absolutely know it. Mona, that was a bit of a slay from Veronica. But she's clearly protecting her daughter there, and her friends. So I have to give her parenting points, because she's protecting them. In the episode titled She Comes Undone, this is when Spencer has like a drug addiction for literally like a few episodes, and no one ever mentions it ever again. Her parents are talking about sending her to a rehab facility, but Spencer asked them to not, and so she could come off the drugs herself. And Veronica agrees, but says that the medication she does have to take from Radley needs to be taken under their supervision type of thing. And I think, to be honest, this is actually looking out for her. It obviously shows they have a distrust in her, but Spencer did have an addiction, and I think really this is looking out for her and making sure that it doesn't happen again. I'm fortunate enough that I've not had anyone in my family to deal with addiction, so I'm not sure where to take a stance on this situation, because obviously it shows the distrust, and you need to have trust in people like this. But also I think it is to kind of protect her and make sure it doesn't happen again type of thing. She doesn't hurt herself or anything. So I see it as a positive thing, but I also see it as a negative thing. But I'm fortunate enough I haven't had to go through this, so I don't know which stance is kind of better type of thing. However, Spencer ends up going to this rehab facility, and Veronica tells her that she's not going back to school straight away because she's come back home now and she will not have access to her phone. She actually hires like a drug and alcohol like coach type of person called Dean, and Spencer at first is very reluctant to meet him, but she ends up meeting him and he kind of just looks after her here and there. However, a few episodes later, Dean and Spencer fall asleep on the sofa. Should I say couch? Get my Americanness out. Yeah, they wake up and Veronica sees it, and obviously because of Spencer's history with Ren and Ian, she ends up firing Dean. Miss Jessica, who cannot get in shot, Jessica DiLaurentis, is dead. 6 foot under, dead. We see in the police station, Melissa says something really suspicious to Peter, and Melissa says that she wants to tell her mum what happened. But Peter is like, stay silent. And we don't know what this is, okay? At this point, we don't know what it is. Once again, Peter is showing his lack of parenting skills and is forcing Melissa to lie again. I think Melissa and Spencer learned a lot about lying and competition from their parents, much kind of like with Aria and Byron, minus parenting points. Now, Melissa actually makes a comment about Alison to Veronica, but Veronica takes a really grown-up approach to this and says that they don't know what Alison has gone through and that they need to reserve judgment. Veronica, that's a bit of a slay. Whether Alison was not a nice person to a lot of people on the show. However, like Veronica says, you have to reserve judgment for this type of thing. She's just come back. She's been missing. They don't know what she's gone through. So I like the approach that Veronica took in this kind of situation. Okay, we're back. I had a little bit of a break. Veronica is having a bit of a time after Jessica's death because she just has this sick feeling that Peter had something to do with the death, because obviously Peter had an affair with Jessica. In the episode titled Miss Me Times 100, Veronica takes Spencer out of school in like a panic and says that they have to go, and Veronica says that she's leaving her dad and she's taking Spencer with her. And the reason for this is because Veronica has found out that Peter and Melissa both lied about where they were the night that Jessica was killed, so she thinks that they did it. In the episode titled Run Ali Run, Spencer says that Veronica and Peter should talk about it. So Veronica takes her to a restaurant and Spencer secretly invites Peter. But before this, Veronica says that Peter just always substitutes one lie for another lie, a continuous kind of circle of lying, and that it's her final kind of tipping point, and that she's given him so many chances and he still messes up. You know what? Good on Veronica. I'm sorry. Good for her. Like, she knows her worth and she's going for it. But Spencer ends up kind of secretly calling him and they end up having a conversation, and we see Spencer looking at them through a window, and Veronica is holding hands with Peter, so she thinks everything is fine. However, Veronica later says that Peter is moving out. Spencer is confused because she's like, I thought everything was fine. But Veronica says it's still too much and too much has happened, so Peter has to go. So then we get welcome to the dollhouse. This is obviously when the liars go to the dollhouse, and Veronica stands up for the liars a lot, and she says that the liars had already been framed for Mona's murder, and that this is now an abduction, not that people have gone missing. Someone has openly taken the girls. Toby, Ezra and Caleb are kind of sorting out evidence and information and trying to track the girls down. So they have these boxes of evidence kind of sitting around, and Veronica and Peter join them to help look for the girls, and Veronica says that they should tell the rest of the parents what is going on. However, Ezra says they wanted to get more evidence before they do that, to not kind of give false information and false hope. Peter is like, maybe we should take this information to the police. But Tanner, who is like the third police officer that takes over the case, Ezra said that she would just turn it into her own theory and not help the girls. So they ask, Peter and Veronica ask if they can look through these boxes of evidence, but Ezra warns them that, look, these are your secrets as well. A didn't just target the girls, but targeted everyone to do with them. So this is everyone's secrets, and they need to be prepared for these secrets to come out. So Veronica tells them, look, no more secrets, let's just air everything out for the sake of the girls. I think this is one of the best things that Peter Hastings has done on the show, and obviously a good continuation of Veronica's parenting on the show. They obviously are sacrificing their own secrets for the sake of the girls. I just want to give you a full look at my head poking. Hi. I just want to give you a full look at what I've done so far, because obviously I'm covering Jessica's picture. But we now have Alison added to... Where is she? There. Alison added to the screen. Alison is back, okay? And Jessica has a cross on her because she's dead. Okay, right. A new character added. Right, this is just a black square. We don't know who this is. Okay, we know it's Charles. Okay, Charles dilaurentis obviously gets revealed, but we don't know who it is at this current point in time. So Spencer goes to the hospital after the dollhouse, and she has this conversation with Veronica where she says the hospital didn't give her one prescription that she's supposed to have, but Veronica had actually told them not to give it to her because she's worried that Spencer might fall back into that addiction that she had. But Spencer argues with her because it's sleeping medication, and after the dollhouse she needs it to help her sleep, otherwise she literally will not be able to. In the episode titled Last Dance, Veronica and the rest of the mums decide to throw the girls their own prom because they're not allowed to go to their actual school prom because of everything that's happened. I think this is a really cute time. Because obviously they're just making up for lost memories that they're not able to have. But then later, the mums end up trapped in a basement, and they all reflect on what their girls have gone through with A. And there's this whole thing about how they got out the basement and oil. That's all I'm going to say, okay? So now we're going to take a bit of a skip forward. And this is season 6B. And we're going to talk about the episode titled The Darkest Night. Cece then gets revealed as Charles. Cece and Jason are brother and sister. Cece and Alison are sisters at this point as well, but things change even more, so don't worry, this is not the final thing. So new character, Mary Drake. Mary Drake enters the situation, and this is where things it gets even worse from here, guys. We're going to take a jump forward, and this is season 6B after the time jump. So in the episode titled The Darkest Night, Mary Drake gets revealed to be Spencer's biological mum. Okay, so now this changes the entire situation, because now Spencer is Mary's daughter. Oh great, the sun's coming through. Great. So Spencer is now Mary Drake's daughter. So Veronica is no longer her mum. Okay. So that then also makes Cece and Spencer sisters. It makes Spencer and Jason half siblings and cousins. What? When I say I lost brain cells watching this and then going back through it, it's crazy. Jason and Spencer share the same dad, but Spencer's mum is Jason's aunt, so they're also cousins as well. I'm lost. I'm at a loss for words. I think this was the floppiest time in Pretty Little Liars. This family tree makes sense but doesn't make sense. Do you know what I mean? So Jessica and Mary are obviously twins. Are you keeping up Because I'm absolutely not. Then Peter reveals that Mary killed Jessica. Now, this is Peter's side of the situation, but what actually gets revealed is something different. Peter tells us, well, not us, he's not telling me, I don't know this man. He tells Spencer that Mary killed Jessica because Jessica didn't tell Mary about Charles still being alive and Charles being Cece. Because Mary Drake and Cece are mother and daughter. Okay. Jesus Christ. Are you keeping up? So in The Darkest Night, like I said, Spencer gets shot by Jenna. And Mary Drake is there. For some reason, she just spawns in. And she holds Spencer's wound and is like, I'm your mom. So then I'm just going to do some notes on Mary Drake really quickly. Mary Drake's time in the show, she and Archer, who is like Alison's new fiance, love interest, whatever, they hatch a plan to get revenge on Alison in order to get justice for Cece. How that works out, I don't know. So she dresses up as Jessica and she kind of scares Alison. I think this is a bit of an iconic slay. Not like her traumatizing Alison. Oh my gosh, let me reword it. There's this one scene where she dresses up as Jessica, like covered in dirt from being buried alive. And it was kind of a slay. Oh my god. So then in the episode titled Hush Hush Sweet Liars, Mona finds medical records saying that Mary Drake had given birth to Charles dilaurentis. So that is the connection between mother and daughter. Mary was a patient at Radley. So Jessica and Kenneth, who we will get onto in a minute, ended up adopting Charles because Mary couldn't look after him. Dr. Rollins, Archer, however you want to say his name, is torturing Alison, and Mary was going along with it, but Mary hits a stage where it's like, okay, this is like too much now, like stop. Absolutely not. Dr. Rollins dies when Hannah runs him over, and Mary goes to see Alison and like is like, you know, you'll be fine now type of thing. But obviously Alison holds a grudge because she's like, why did you like torture me with him type of thing. Mary says that she was vulnerable and didn't know his intentions. In the episode titled Wanted, Dead or Alive, Mary Drake reveals that her and Cece had never met. And this is where like it confuses me because Cece obviously went as Cece Drake. So if she didn't know that Mary Drake was her mom, how, like, was it just a coincidence that she used the name, or like what was going on there? But she says that when Cece was born, Jessica took the baby literally like that and she didn't even get to hold her. So Jessica dilaurentis, what are you doing? In the wrap of Khan, we find out that actually Mary has had another child. There was another child that she's had. So who is this child? So I've got a few new characters to add to the situation. Ted over here actually gets revealed to be Cece's biological dad. Where this came from, we don't know. This over here is Mary's other child. We don't know who this other child is yet. Okay. Mary then confesses to Jessica's murder because the liars had been set up and were going down for her murder. So Mary decided to step in and confess and take, obviously, the consequences of that. Mary Drake is a really weird character to me, and I'll get on to her when we more talk about the dilaurentis family, because I like her, but I also like don't. Anyway, really weird. Anyway, next points. Okay, then we're going back. Okay. And in the episode titled Driving Miss Crazy, Aria plots like a recording device because of and they find a conversation on there between Jessica and Peter about potentially killing Mary. They wanted to kill Mary together, and the plan was to poison her. However, Mary Drake found out about this, and instead she poisoned Jessica. That is a bit of a slay. I'm not promoting this. I'm absolutely not promoting it. But like, I don't know, that was a bit of a slay from Mary. Like, using the way they were going to kill you to kill them instead. Oh my god, Mary Drake! We have the reveal of who is Mary's other child. Look at the sun coming through. The sun needs to get out of my business. So yeah, then we get the reveal of who is the child. Alex Drake. Now, if you don't know Alex Drake, she is the... I've got to go get ready. Mona.
That is such a classic Spencer line.
Alex Drake is Spencer's twin. The way this works out, Jessica and Peter were obviously having an affair. And at one point, Mary Drake dressed up as Jessica and slept with Peter Hastings. I have something to say about this a bit later on, but we will get to this at the end. So then when Mary Drake got pregnant, she had twins who are Spencer and Alex Drake. Melissa then obviously is Alex's half sibling. And Cece and Alex are obviously related as well. So then poor Jason. Let's talk about Jason, because Jason starts the show with like one sibling and ends the show with Melissa, Spencer, Cece, Alex, and Allison. 5. So yeah, Alex then gets revealed, and Mary Drake says that she had no idea Alex was alive, and that Alex only had come to see her a few weeks ago. She explains that she sold Alex to this wealthy couple in England to just give her a better life, but she had discovered that Alex's adoptive parents had actually abandoned her because she had issues. Alex tries to kill Spencer, but Mary kind of steps in and it's like, whoa, this is not it. Talking about the parenting, I feel very towards Veronica. I think as a parent, her parenting ways were not the best, and there's ways she could have improved, and I think her favoriting of Melissa and totally kind of shoving Spencer to the side was a really, really big issue. And towards the very start of the show, I think Veronica as a parent was not good. However, she's not the worst parent on the show, but she's not the best and she makes mistakes. However, I truly think that she does love all of her children. And even though Spencer turns out not to be her child, I think she loves Spencer to bits. And she will always protect her children when she needs to. I think there is definitely better ways that Veronica could have handled certain situations. I think the love for her children is very much there. However, Peter Hastings, the flop of the century, he was very full of manipulation, and I think he manipulated basically everyone in that family. Veronica, Spencer, and Melissa. And I think Melissa and Spencer learned a lot about lying and a lot about competing with each other through their parents, because obviously Peter wanted them to hold secrets and lie to people, and kind of put Melissa against Spencer and Veronica by making Melissa lie about things. The secret, by the way, I forgot to say, that is that Melissa is the one that buried Bethany, who is the girl that was found in Allison's grave. But he made her lie about that. I really like the phrase that the mums used when they were talking about Peter institutionally trying to fix things. I think that was a huge thing that he tried to do multiple times. I don't think he actually wanted to have that emotional conversation with his kids, and instead would just find a way to pay for something that would fix things. And then we have to talk about Jason and the neglect that Jason faced from Peter. So I've not included it in it, and I've done a separate video, but that I will leave a link to down below, where I really delve into Jason much more. But Jason was very neglected by his biological dad, and Peter kind of really blamed him for being his son, rather than Peter himself having the affair. And he treated Jason very, very terribly, and the trauma that Jason faced is so ridiculous, and his biological dad just did not want him or anything to do with him, and tried to shame him a lot, when in fact Peter was the one that had the affair. So it was issue that Peter had caused, but Jason ultimately got the blame for being kind of the product of the affair. So Peter only really took care of Melissa, and even with Melissa he would manipulate her, but he had a lot of issues with Spencer and obviously didn't care about Jason and didn't know Alex existed. So out of all of the kids he had, there was only one that he really cared about. But yeah, his treatment of Jason, sorry to like keep going back to it, but it was really bad. Because Peter also turned Veronica against Jason too, and it was just not it. Now we're going to move on to the dilaurentis. We've kind of spoken about them already, but we're just going to delve into it a little bit more.
Okay, so the dilaurentis family.
Obviously, we have Jessica, but we also, who I've not really spoken on yet, have Kenneth. So Kenneth had a relationship with Jessica and is the biological dad of Allison. At the start of the show, we think he's Jason's dad and Cece's dad when Cece gets revealed as Charles, but he ends up not being their biological dad. So we see Kenneth and Jessica in the pilot episode, but they're actually played by different actors. So there's not really much to say about the pilot with them, really. They're in it when Allison is having her funeral. Jessica, to me, is a really interesting character because everything kind of comes down to her. Everything was kind of made by her and like her actions, and I think she truly loves her kids, but like she's not like a good person, but like she loves her kids, and she's very mysterious, which I really like. She's a very layered character. I quite like Jessica just because of like the mysterious thing that she adds to the show. In the Mirror has three faces. Emily stays with the dilaurentis for a little while, and there's a really nice moment where Emily confesses to her that she is gay, and Jessica is really accepting of that. Jessica says that she's very proud of her and she couldn't have asked for anyone else to love Allison like Emily. She also tells Emily at this stage that her and Kenneth are getting a divorce because of Allison's death. And just the effect it is having on both of them. Now, we get a flashback now, and Jessica is very angry because she confronts Allison because Radley had given Jessica dilaurentis a call to say that Allison had checked herself into Radley. But when Mrs. dilaurentis went there, it was Cece dressed up as Allison. So there was this huge fight. This scene doesn't make sense to me because Jessica is the one that brought Cece like replicas of Allison's clothes. So why Jessica was angry about Cece wearing the clothes, I don't really understand, especially because we are told that Jessica really took care of Cece. So this scene doesn't really make sense in the end, but nonetheless, her and Allison have a bit of tension here. So much later on in the show, Spencer asks Jessica if she thinks Spencer hurt Allison, and there's a bit of a fight here type of thing, not a full-on fight. Jessica is telling Spencer, I don't know what you're talking about, you need to get out my house. And then Jessica walks away, but Spencer grabs her arm and Jessica's like, you're hurting me type of thing. So they have a little bit of a bitter argument there. Obviously then Jessica dies. There's not really much that I've not already said about Jessica already, so that's why we're just kind of skipping past a lot of her stuff. Kenneth is actually, if Allison was Kenneth's kind of only child from the very start, you'd argue that he's a good dad. But when Allison turns out to be alive, he goes to the police station and they have a really emotional moment and embrace each other. Allison is in her bedroom afterwards, kind of sorting through her stuff, and Kenneth says if she's too scared to sleep in her bedroom, she can always sleep downstairs if she wants to, and that everything is fine and he's going to protect her. And then Kenneth says that he vows to make Allison forget about all the years that she missed. And Kenneth is a good dad to Allison. You have to give him props for that. He's a good dad to her. But his other children, which we will speak about, who actually turn out not to be his children, but whatever, he's not a good dad and he's not great. But if Allison was the only child from the start, you'd argue he's a good dad. Do you know what I mean? In the episode titled Surfing the Tensions, Jason says that Jessica was killed because she just held too many secrets. Absolutely. Jason is right. Obviously, we know the scene where Bethany ends up pushing Marion off the roof of the Radley with Charles kind of watching it happen. And at this stage, Charles is being taken care of by Jessica, and Jessica sees Charles as one of her kids, you know. So it gets revealed that Jessica kind of bribed Bethany Young with gifts to stop her kind of telling the truth about what happened with Marion. The truth is Bethany's version. So Bethany was framing Charles for pushing Marion off the roof of the Radley. However, in the next episode, Spencer and Mona find out that Jessica was actually having an affair with Bethany's dad. Literally everything goes through Jessica. Literally all roads lead back to Jessica. That's why I find her character so interesting. In the episode Game Over Charles, Allison is at a press conference, kind of please Charles, those things, what they call like TV appeals. But Kenneth kind of takes her inside after a while, and he doesn't like the idea of Allison being used as kind of bait for Charles in case anything happens again. In the episode titled Don't Look Now, we get a flashback where Jason goes to visit his Aunt Carol, but when he gets there, he sees Jessica there, and he's like, whoa, why are you here? And then they have a conversation, and just as Jason is about to leave, he hears a noise coming from inside the house, and Jessica just kind of shrugs it off. But in the end, we actually find out that it was Mary Drake who was in the house. This is the bit where Kenneth is a menace. This man should be locked up. No, I don't think... is Kenneth prison worthy? Yeah. Jason reveals that Charles, was a friend that he had growing up. However, Kenneth kind of manipulated Jason, and once Charles had gone to Radley, Kenneth told Jason that Charlie was an imaginary friend all along and just a figment of his imagination. So the manipulation, once again, from Kenneth to Jason is crazy, and he really treats Jason terribly throughout the entire show, because obviously at the start we're told that he's the biological dad, and he just never treats Jason like he treats Allison, and the utter manipulation from him to tell Jason that everything was made up inside his mind is crazy. And what that would have done to Jason's head, like, I can't even think of the pain and the trauma that Jason must have gone through with that. Jason even says throughout the show that he should have been the one to die rather than Allison, because obviously that's how he feels because of the parents' reaction to Jason and how he's treated by his parents. He's not loved, he's not appreciated, and he's not loved by his biological dad or Kenneth, who we assume was obviously his biological dad from the very start. So I feel really bad for Jason, everything that Jason went through on the show. Jason and Allison confront Kenneth about Charles. They want answers. So at first we're just shown through a window of Kenneth telling them something as A is watching. So Kenneth confesses that Charles is 15 months older than Jason, and that they had to get him help because he had issues. However, doctors couldn't really determine what was exactly wrong with him, and by the time Allison had turned 1 year old, they knew that Charles was not safe to be around Allison. So Jason's like, how come no one's ever mentioned him in Rosewood? But Kenneth reveals that they moved to Rosewood after Charles had been placed in Radley. Jessica also wanted everything about Charles to be kept a secret because Jessica really kind of protected Charles, and Kenneth didn't know that Charles was Cece, but Jessica did, because Jessica ultimately brought Cece up and really accepted the fact that Cece wanted to wear girl clothes and to not be a boy. She really accepted that and really helped with the transition. And Kenneth ultimately said that he wanted the kids to have a normal childhood without a distraction of Charles. The Kenneth's treatment of Cece is so gross because basically there is a scene when Cece gets revealed as where Charles is giving Allison a bath when they are children, and because Allison was crying and none of the parents were doing anything, and Kenneth walks in and assumed that Charles is trying to drown Allie, but that is literally not the fact at all. So yeah, the treatment, and then Charles got separated from his family because of that. So the treatment from Kenneth to both Jason and Cece is just awful. So awful. So obviously then we get the Cece reveal, and Cece tells us everything that had happened. We get from Cece's point of view that it was more manipulation from Kenneth to keep Charles in Radley, where Kenneth had manipulated Jessica a lot and kind of tricked her into thinking that was the best thing to do. But obviously Jessica secretly visited Cece for years and brought her kind of copies of Allison's clothes that she would buy for Allison, and Jessica was really a comfort for Cece during her whole transition, and I think that was something Cece really needed, and Jessica loved Cece. Loved her. Jessica even convinced the Radley board members to let her go to UPenn. And when Cece started hanging around with Jason and Allison, Jessica told Cece the truth that Kenneth didn't know that she was Charles, and Kenneth thought Charles was dead. Now, I just want to add here, there's a bit of incestuary going on because Cece and Jason end up dating. Nothing sexual happens, but they do date. And then obviously Cece was the one to hit Allison that night, and Jessica paid Wilden to not say anything and obviously buried Allison alive. Then we have obviously the whole Mary Drake situation, which I explained earlier on. Now there's this one bit during the show which I completely forgot about. So when I was rewatching, I was like, oh my god, when Mary and Jessica were younger, Jessica was babysitting a child, and Jessica called Mary over because the baby wouldn't stop crying, so she wanted some help. And so Jessica gave the child a bath and put the child to sleep. However, when the parents came home, they found the child dead, and Jessica blamed Mary for it. That is like, that's crazy. Like, Jessica is a crazy character, and the mysterious atmosphere surrounding Jessica is genuinely crazy. In the episode titled Driving Miss Crazy, Mary defends and kind of justifies the killing of Jessica by saying that, you know, Jessica was obviously going to kill her. And that's kind of it. So we have so much going on. I think it's crazy to me that, like, Jason started the show with like one sibling and ends it with 5. I always just think about that. And the ultimate, like, look at this. How many lines and connections every single person has to everyone. It is such a crazy family tree. Like, absolutely insane. I think it's crazy how every kind of plot point goes back to Jessica. If you really think about it, everything was kind of caused by Jessica in her own way, in her own actions. And yeah, I think Jessica loved her kids. I really think she loved her kids. But she was obviously not a good person. However, you can't deny the fact that she was a good parent when it came to, she loves her children. Absolutely loves them. And obviously she will try to do anything to protect them. And I think she had a closer bond to Cece because everything that Cece had gone through. And obviously burying Allison is not a way to show her loving her kids. Absolutely not. But everything she did was to protect a child. It wasn't to openly, you know, screw over another child on purpose. It was always to protect someone else. I think she loved her kids. As a person, I think Jessica is horrendous. I don't think she's a good person at all. But the mysterious atmosphere she brings to the show, I love it. I really like it. Kenneth, obviously I've spoken a bit about Kenneth, and his treatment of Jason was horrendous. Really, really bad. I can't get over the thing of him pretending Charles was like a figment of Jason's imagination. I can't imagine what that did to Jason. I can't. And just his overall attitude toward Jason from the very start of the show, when obviously we think he is the biological dad, is just so bizarre and so just not a way to treat someone. However, you can't deny Kenneth is a good dad to Allison, and he really tries to protect Allison, especially when she comes back. So if you just assume that Allison is his only child, go ahead. He's a good parent. But obviously his treatment of Cece was horrendous. So horrendous. Obviously he didn't know a lot about Cece going forward because he was told that Charles had died. But his treatment of Charles as a young child was also really, really bad. So his biological children, which is just Allison, he loves a lot more than the children that aren't his biologically. This is the family tree. Can you believe it? Okay, guys, I'm here, okay? But I just want to like fully get out of the way of the family tree so you can see it properly. And I can explain it more to you now that the analysis is done. Okay, sorry, my head's in the way here, but we're just gonna have to deal with it. So, Peter Hastings is the biological dad of Jason, Spencer, Melissa, and Alex. We are told at the start of the show, Kenneth is the biological dad of Allison, Jason, and Cece. However, he is only the biological dad of Allison. Mary Drake is the biological mom of Alex, Spencer, and Cece. Okay. Cece's dad is Ted. What else am I missing? So, Spencer and Allison are cousins. Spencer and Jason are half siblings and cousins. Veronica is only the biological mum of Melissa. Melissa has Alex and Spencer as a sister. Jason as a half sibling. Yeah, Jessica is the biological mum of Jason, Allison, and that's it, I believe. But then Alex, Spencer is, and Cece is her nieces. And yeah, that is it for this video. If I've missed anything or not said, you know, an opinion you agree with, or you have your own opinion, please do let me know. Make sure to like and subscribe, and I will see you guys in my next video. Bye, guys.